that flesh under subjection to the Spirit, and you shall be made powerful in order to do the things that Christ has called you to do. What a mighty God we serve. We serve a God who is able. We serve a God that is able to do far and exceedingly beyond anything that you can even hope or imagine. And that self-control that we're talking about, the duty of self-control, my brothers and sisters, be not ashamed. Let the enemy not talk you out of your power. You know, Jacob and Esau, remember the story? Esau, he was so hungry when he came in from the field that he was willing to do anything for a bowl of that pottage. Don't do it. Don't sell your birthright for something that is so easily obtained. God will give you what you need if you'll just ask him. We don't have to beg for anything. Our God owns the cattle of 1,000 hills. He can feed you. He will allow the robin, the birds, the raven to feed you. Only believe. Don't believe the lie of the enemy. Don't sell your birthright. Don't sell your birthright. And don't forget who you are. And remember, there's so much to you that you cannot receive it in a day. It takes time to get to where God wants you, because you need to know there's a way out of your mess, and it's JESUS. Let him work through you.
Where can you buy a brand new Nissan with a lifetime warranty? Kingston Pike. Hey, folks, Gerald Anderson with Ted Russell Nissan. You heard it right. Every new Ted Russell Nissan comes with a lifetime warranty, and that's a long, long time. Ted Russell Nissan on Kingston Pike.
Good morning and welcome to AM 1380 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Ask Your Neighbor can also be heard and seen on our website, WYSHradio.com. And if you are in Anderson, Rome, or Morgan County and have Comcast cable, you can watch Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV Channel 12. Ask Your Neighbor is the program where you call in and do just that. Ask Your Neighbor. Do you have a comment? Do you have a problem? Or do you have a question? Then call in and ask your neighbor. 865-457-1380 or toll free at 877-711-4005. And for those of you that might be listening or watching on the internet, you can email from our website, WYSHradio.com. Just click on the Contact Us button and email your questions. Now sit back and listen as listeners throughout East Tennessee and the entire world answer your questions on Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV 12 and AM 1380 WYSH.
Anderson Crossing Pharmacy, your locally owned pharmacy, has earned the trust of its customers through friendly, professional, and fast service. Their staff has combined over 100 years worth of pharmacy knowledge. Check out their new phone refill system and their convenient drive-through. Need a 90-day supply of your prescription? No problem. Just phone a day ahead and it'll be ready for you the next day, most times the same day. Anderson Crossing Pharmacy, family owned since 1995, 3318 Andersonville Highway in Andersonville, 494-8444. Anderson Crossing Pharmacy, your locally owned pharmacy, caring for you and about you.
Good morning, everybody. It's Ask Your Neighbor. Mayor Scott Burton is joining us here this morning as we're getting all of our buttons pushed here. Good morning, Mr. Mayor. How are you today, sir?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's been a few minutes since you've been up here with us. I just wanted to see nothing particular. Just wanted to get you up here. Maybe
I haven't started to sweat yet, so it's a good day. It won't last long.
It's going to be. It's the humidity more than the heat, but that's
Fair Week's coming next week, and of course I've done that for 10 or 15 years, and started looking at that. It's like it's about fair weather. It's fair weather.
If we can get through the whole fair without a major washout, that'd be good. But it's always July. This week in July is one of the warmest weeks ever.
Yeah, it's been bad.
Yeah.
It's been bad, but just part of it.
Yep. And you've been at the lake. We were talking about that.
I
I haven't been out since April 1st. I went out to my boat, and we had to have it inspected, and I've not stayed on it since then. My kids are wanting to go this weekend, so I don't know if we will or we won't. But yeah, I've not got to go to the lake. But now I've been all over the place. I've been to Florida, and I spent 2 weeks in South Carolina, and I've been down to Nassau. And we've done a lot of traveling.
You
this
have a lot
year.
of choices. It's
I've
good
been
to have choices.
Been a lot of places.
I tell you, this is our. My mom and dad bought a little cabin, called a cottage, on the water. And nothing much. It's more of a camper. It's more of a camping style type deal. My next door neighbor, he's like a condo. And he's got the air conditioner, you know. I guess I always say there's an invisible railroad track in between. I'm on that
You're
side.
on the other side of the tracks.
But you've been there for 46 years, and we have really enjoyed it. Got a lot of good memories there. But quick story on that. So Friday, they were having the fireworks to Stardust, and the kids were coming up. Kids don't come up that much. And,
sure.
You know, it's boating is more cyclical. I mean, it's more of an age thing, convenience, where you're at the stage in your life and all that. But I was looking for, they were going to come up, we were going to grill out, and the fireworks literally about 70 yards away from us. I mean, where they do it is fantastic. Well, a little pop-up storm came up, and I think Clinton got it too, but not as bad as it was on the lake, and high winds and stuff. Make a long story short, my boat broke loose.
Oh, wow.
First time that I could ever remember. So it broke loose, and it was a good shower, so I just went inside and laid down for a little while because it's just to pass the storm, and I heard a pop. I was like, that's not good. So I looked up because I thought it might have been my boat kind of hitting the cottage, and it wasn't that. And I looked over at my neighbors, and I was fastly approaching him. And he was looking at me, and I was looking at him. It was like,
what do we do?
Just hold on. I mean, it's not like a car. It's not really, but luckily there was a little John boat in between, and it absorbed a lot. It cushioned that. It wasn't. Then the front anchor was still attached, so it kind of kicked us back into the channel.
Yeah.
So the guys came out, the dock hands, and they said, well, we can't do anything. It's July 4th weekend, you know, and I understand that. It's a lot of waves and stuff. So we're going to have to take the houseboat, and tie it up to the
bank.
to the catwalk.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I guess I'm going home. I was joking. My wife's listening. I was joking. I said, that's the longest weekend of my life. Because I'm usually, my kids give me a hard time. It's like, Dad doesn't live in Mariners Point.
Yeah,
his permanent residence is the boat. Because I do enjoy it a lot. And, again, I've had a lot of good times and good memories from it.
I do. I grew up on the lake. I've had a boat nearly all my life. And you're right. You know, get older and you get the opportunity to buy or have some of the stuff and use it, and the rest of life gets in the way. You know, you don't get to use it. And you got
to use it to justify it.
Well,
I mean, it's not cheap.
No.
Just to maintain it's not cheap.
No, just to have a place to park it. You know, the toys are expensive. Yeah. You know, and so if you don't get to use them, like I said, I've considered selling it, but I hate to. Yeah. You know, I just when you want it, it's wonderful to have, and I mean, you know, just if you're that kind of person, and you like being out on the water and you like being out on the lake, I mean, it just there's not a whole lot that compares to it.
Yeah,
you know?
And one thing I love to do, and I try to do it, is maybe midweek. And you're tired. You know, everybody's tired. They have a long day and got things to do. But I just try to get up there one time during the week, and usually midweek, and just have an excuse to go up, maybe just go and jump in the water and just sit on the back porch. And that just resets the whole thing. And it's just funny. I think you probably feel the same way. When you get on the lake, all the stress and all it's gone. It's just like it stays on land. It's waiting for you when you get back.
Yeah, it's there when you get back in the car.
But you have that solitude and time of reflection and all that stuff. But I tell people, I know I didn't come on to talk about the lake.
No, that's all right.
But I talk about the people. One thing people really miss, a lot of people miss about the lake, and you'll understand this and appreciate it, is when everything gets quiet and that sun goes down, and it's that everybody's off the lake, and it's that peaceful, and it's glass, and it's quiet, and it's something special. And I wish more people could really and see that and appreciate it.
September on Norris Lake. That's what I mean. Our vacationers have kind of had their fun. It's kind of calmed down, but it's still beautiful and warm, and
it still amazes me at Labor Day. There's people packing up and they're winterizing. and there's another month.
Oh, easy.
But
I've been out on my boat in November, plenty of time.
Well, I think this last year I think I finally, because I always say one more weekend.
Yeah.
Then you get football and you get a lot of distractions, but a lot more activities stuff going on. But I always say one more weekend. But I think I was middle of October and I was in the water.
Oh, I've stayed. I've been out on my boat all the way through football season. In fact, I watched the national championship on my boat one year.
So you've got the luxuries of electricity and I do have an AC, but it's a small one. But again, it's more like camping. But
it's all right.
But that's what I'm used to, and that's what I enjoy.
I enjoy that. That's something that you and I have in common on the lake. I do, but I am. It's a shame that I don't get out there more. We don't get out there more. It's like anything, you go for a while without it, and then I'll go and be there for 3 or 4 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks on and off, and then move on to the next thing.
Well, it takes a little effort when you go up there for the weekend. You got to plan, and
there's always something that needs fixed. Too. Is your boat like that? Do you always have something to tinker with?
Yeah, and I didn't realize because my dad was that way. He loved to work, and then when he passed, then I realized. Man, my dad did a lot of stuff. I don't want to come up to work. I can stay at home and do that. Mine sank. My boat.
Didn't your boat here about 10 years ago?
Yeah. Well, we had some. We had the old barrels.
Yeah.
And TVA's making everyone by 2030 go to the encapsulated, and we did that last fall.
Well, I just remember a long time ago, Dan Chambly was doing my cabinets.
Yeah.
And we had to stop on my cabinets because you had an emergency up at your boat. He was like, I think the mayor's about to lose his boat.
I tell you what, old Dan, he's had some health issues, but I miss him. I mean, it's from a work standpoint.
Oh, wow.
I mean, he's one of those guys, he could do anything.
Mm-hmm. And, his son's like that.
Yeah.
His son's like that. Did a lot of stuff.
Well, you talking about Mark?
No, I'm talking about his son.
Yeah. Well, Mark, his brother, does. He does a lot of handy stuff in town.
Does he?
Yeah, he does a lot of handyman stuff. But
well, anyway. it's enjoyable. I like it, and I could talk about it all day. And I bought a pontoon boat last year. I've been on it one time. It's sitting in a slip. My mom and dad have used it a bunch.
It's clear you got too many toys.
Oh.
You got to start.
I've got to start doing something.
Like when you're a kid, okay, you got to take 2 of those out of the box and give them away.
I've thought about, Jason just put a motor in my runabout. It's sitting in the driveway. I've got to get the lift on the back of the engine. I've got a problem with that right now.
Your kids the boys like the lake?
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah. Well,
it gets
the older they get, the less they like it.
Yeah, but then they get a certain age, then they get it again. So they're in that teen age right now, where they're 14. The twins. James David loves it because he likes to be outside. He likes to fish. Jacob hates it because he likes internet, phone, that kind of stuff. As I say, they're probably interested in girls too.
That's coming along, and the lake, not a bad place.
No, it's not. Especially with all the restaurants and everything up there now.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of fun. Well, what's going on here in the city of Clinton? We got lots of good stuff happening.
We have a ton of good things going on, and it's been delayed it seems like for a decade, but it's been 4 or 5 years. We went out and got all these grants, and COVID hit, and we had some supply issues. We had be able to find somebody to work and things like that. But we're really starting to we're really pull the trigger on several things, and things are already in process.
Well, we got the pool going. That's
pool's going. They're working on it today. We've had some issues with. I think we changed contractors on the pool once, but I think we've got a good group that's going to do that. Hopefully, Roger and I talked about it a little bit. And it's hard to plan anything because you just don't know. But their planned date to be done is Labor Day. And we were talking about, wouldn't it be nice if we just had one blowout in the Labor Day?
Yeah, it'd be nice, Labor Day blowout.
But it might be more of a last minute thing because you just don't know when you got contractors working. But but that's in progress.
What problems were they hitting? Just typical problems or manpower problems or
the biggest thing that hurt us again during COVID. And it's kind of stopped everything.
Sure.
But the biggest issue was at the state level, these people that administer the grants, they were leaving.
Oh.
So we would get, let's say, 75%, 80% to the finish line. Well, you call, hey, I need to speak to Joe. Well, Joe's left. Here, Angie's now on that job. So we go from 80%, now we're down back to 30%.
Start over.
Yeah, it's like starting. And that happened with Roger and staff. more than once. I just went there like 3 or 4 times.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, there hadn't been any continuity as far as people at the state level that's kind of overseeing these things.
Okay.
And it's been, it's just been tough. And then, as far as supply issues early on, I think a lot of that stuff's worked out. Yeah. And getting people to work and things like that. But the pool is going to be pretty cool. It's going to be a little smaller than what it was. It's kind of an L shape.
Yeah.
The deep. And it's going to be more, if anybody's been at the community center pool, I think I forgot the dimensions. It's like 30 by 75.
Okay.
That's a pretty good size pool.
That's a good pool.
We're going to put that in there in its place. It's going to be one. I think it's just going to be one depth because you can't go off a high dive anymore. Just,
nope.
Look at us. Look what happened to us. But
we are still here.
Yeah, we're still here.
I fell off the high dive one time, so I've done it.
Well, it makes you a little smarter, hopefully, and
I won't do it again.
Yeah. And then we're going to do a splash pad next to that, and that splash pad is going to be, I think, 2 or 3 times bigger than what we have at Lakefront, and it's going to be more just not for the real small kids. It's going to be for the older kids too.
That's cool.
And more features and things like that. And I know if I might repeat myself, but not a lot of people listen to me, so I'll say it again. Is that when we were growing on Memorial Day, around the first part of May, in middle of May, and we went back that week, a little bit, the few days before Labor Day.
Yeah.
So you had a good wide, swimming, time to use the pool. Well, now, my wife's got to go back 2 weeks on Monday.
Yeah.
And so they start at the end of July. Mm-hmm. So you're swimming from the end of May to now the end of July. That's like an 8-week swimming period. And why we say the swimming period, because 90% of the workers at the pool go to school.
Yeah.
So you have staff problems.
Sure.
Not to say we can't overcome some of those things, maybe open up on weekends, maybe just do parties and things like that. And another issue, just from a pool standpoint and why we're reducing, first of all, the state has closed, as far as what I understand, they've closed all state pools.
Well, I know Norris and Cove Lake, the 2 I worked at, are closed.
They're gone. Yeah. So, and Oak Ridge still has theirs, but I don't know of anywhere else. I'm sure there's some around, but it's really more of an oddity now to have that, because when we were growing up, you could probably count on one hand who had the pool.
Oh, yeah.
Or who had the pools. And back then, the fire truck would come and fill it up for you. Yeah. So, but now a lot more people have the pool. And there's other things. You're talking about the internet and all that stuff the kids do. But I think the size that we made it will be sufficient for we were average about 60 kids a day before we closed it up.
Well, if you're doing something that will appeal to an older kid, a later teen kid, that's good too. Well, they need some place.
Yeah, and that's why I like the splash pad, because now you can open that up when it gets warm.
Yeah,
we can do it first week in May.
You don't need a lifeguard for that.
There's no cost from a workforce standpoint.
Sure.
But you can open it up in as early as you can, based on the weather.
Yeah. And
probably close it the second week in October.
Yeah.
With no oversight.
That'd be.
We are opening up the concessions now, so we're going to have more of a burgers on the grill type deal like they used to, and I think it's going to be an access with just people just coming by there's going to be a counter on the outside they can go in and they can go up to the counter and order. And little things like that kind of when we were growing up, made that kind of special, because there's nothing like a
grilled burger at summertime
when you're
pool.
Hungry and swimming and all that stuff.
It's great.
But we're getting there.
Well, it's good. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
But
well, the one exciting thing that we've been working on just about the same amount of period is what we call the TAP grant. It's downtown.
Yeah.
And what that is, we have 3 phases, and we've got the clear to go on phase 1 and phase 2.
Okay.
So what that's going to, I can kind of give you a little overview on that, not you, also your listeners.
Sure.
The phase 1 was from Broad in Maine, which is at the corner of the courthouse there, towards Market Street. And I think it goes a little bit past Market Street to Cullum, North Hicks, that intersection there.
And that's straight down Main, right?
Straight down Main.
Got it.
And then phase 2 will be Market Street to the railroad track. We'll stop short of the railroad tracks because it's hard to work with the railroad as far as things.
So we'll just go right to the train trestle right there, or the bridge, under the bridge.
Close. It won't be under the bridge. It won't be 2 but it might be a little bit 10 feet before you get to the railroad tracks.
Gotcha.
When you had the intersection of Cullum and Market, a little past that, the First Baptist building on the left and by there. So, so the whole concept of this is to entice people to come downtown, shop, for people to invest, and make it more of a destination place. And what they do, if you've ever been to the Strip on Cumberland in Knoxville, it's somewhat that kind of thought
where
process.
They redid the Strip, made it more kind of walking, pedestrian friendly.
So what you find is studies. This comes from TDOT. When you narrow the roads, we're not taking any roads out, but say it's the 14-foot wide road, taking down to 12 feet. And what that shows, people slow down during that time. So we're going to do that. We're going to, that extra space we're going to have, we're going to increase the size of the sidewalks. We're going to add trees. We're going to add lighting. And just make it much more inviting. And by the way, it's going to be ADA compliant.
That's good.
Which is tricky with, the Market Street kind of goes this way.
Down. Yeah.
But depending on the time frame on this is, let's say it's going to go out to bid. We should go out to bid here in the next month or so. So as they start, let's say.
And we bid it in phases, right?
Well, we're going to do phase 1 and phase 2 together.
Gotcha. Then
we're going to do phase 3 later on. And phase 3 goes from Broad in Maine to Central in Maine. So almost right there past Edgewood. It probably won't go right up to that red light, but it'll go close to that. And we'll do that in the next phase.
Gotcha.
So it really depends on.
That'll take the whole downtown and make it uniform. Everything will look the same.
It'd be nice. ADA compliant, and again, I think it will encourage more businesses to come down. People may want to come down more and shop. May want to have more developers and investors coming in, and maybe having something different than an antique store.
Yeah.
I'm not to say I want those to go away, but of course the market's going to do
the more the merrier.
But but it may be, instead of having 10 stores now or 12 that we have, you may have 8. But then you may have a brewery. You may have a restaurant. In a little different mix that's going to be more attractive to more people and entice them to come down and again spend some time, spend some money.
And I know that we've had some folks looking maybe to put a brewery / restaurant in down there. How are we looking? One of the things you always hear, you heard it when 20 years ago, is people would like to have, an Aubrey's or a TGI, some sit down semi-family restaurant up here. We've got Harrison's, we've got Golden Girls, we've got Apple Blossom. That's about it.
I was really let me finish that one thing because I want to talk about that too. Okay. But my final thought on the TAP grant was it really depends when this goes out to bid and when we get the contracts and start to work. If it's more late fall, we'll probably start from Broad and Main first.
Gotcha.
And work down and
work toward the courthouse.
Because that way we don't want to take anything away from the Market Street people as far as hitting it during Christmas time and streets are closed and it's just it's going to be clustered. Versus then if it starts in January, then we'll do Market Street first.
Gotcha.
Then do the second phase.
I think
which makes a lot of sense.
And that if you're coming straight down Main Street working on that in front of the courthouse and all that, is it going to be completely closed and we're going to route around it, or do you know? Is that a state thing?
No, I've been told that it will never be closed.
Good.
So you may have a one lane and detour around there. And a lot of things, you'd think the middle part, except it would be paved, because when they went and paved, we said, "Wait a minute, you don't want to pave this right now. We'll look like fools to pave it." And
they cut it out.
8 months later, we're going to pave it again.
Yeah.
So really, after they narrow the streets, a lot of the work's going to be on the sides.
Okay.
For the most part, if you think about it, but they'll probably be where. Some instances where we have to.
Who's designing all this? And let me ask you this: is it going to be uniform to match? Like those lights we have on Market Street. Those are everybody seemed to like those. Yeah. But are we going to make everything uniform?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think Studio 4, our designers that use that, and through the grant, I think we had some oversight from the state as far as people coming in and planned out what kind of bushes we need and have flowers, and we're going to have a big downtown clock in the middle of town.
Cool.
And so it's going to be some cool stuff.
How many? What's the time frame from, let's say, starting till you guys get it complete? Couple years?
I think it's less than a year.
Wow.
It's less than a year.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is real cool if it's less than a year.
Yeah. Again, it all depends on on the contractors and weather and all that stuff. But
so that's the downtown tap grant stuff that's going on. So we've got the pool coming into play. Then we're going to have, look at a year from now, we're going to have all new downtown.
Yeah,
at least.
And we're still working with. I want to get back to the restaurants.
We're going. I've got it. My note right here.
But we were working with the Boys Club, Boys and Girls Club, about using the Armory as a, lack of a better word, a daycare, after-school care. And we're partnering with the industries in town.
Are we doing that now at the community center? Where do we do it?
We're doing it. Yeah, we're doing it at the community center. I think we're even doing it in one of the other schools too.
Okay.
And I'm sorry to hear that Matt Queener left and took another job, and I think he did a fantastic job with the Boys and Girls Club.
Absolutely.
But that's going to really bring in. I think we're getting close to with the match. We're going to invest about $1 million, and most of that's in the Armory. So we're going to make that ADA, because anything you do, you bring it up to ADA. We're going to get a new roof, going to change out the windows. We got to make the floor more level than it is. It's not bad, but we got to do all these things. Of course, do the bathrooms.
And that's in order to house them, or just in order to bring it up to the standard we need. Well,
I think it's just the things we need to do to bring, have kids in there.
Gotcha.
Because we need some updates with that. But that's going to hopefully, if everything goes as planned, that's going to start this fall. So we have a lot of things going on.
How would kids get from the schools to the Armory?
I don't know if it's agreement between the Boys Club and that they provide that, because it's kind of like, I don't think we're going to get in the daycare business. I think we're just providing the building for that to happen. I would imagine, my understanding is it's going to be bust.
Will we still do our after school programs that we have? Because we have isn't it an actual program that we have in the community center each day?
I would imagine that it's going to continue, because I think it's a little bit of a different age group too.
I think you're right.
Versus the middle school or versus the elementary age kid. But that's going to be happening. Hopefully, see some progress on that before the end of the year.
Okay.
And get going. So
and
those are three things.
All of this we're talking about thus far is being supplemented with grant money, right?
Oh yeah. That's the frustration. A lot of people say, "Why do you use grant money?" It's just hard.
Use grant money.
But now, hindsight's always 20/20. If the pool, if we kind of knew the pool was going to take 4 or 5 years to do, number one, we probably would have continued to patch it until everything. But we just didn't go in with that mindset. Then he would have saw COVID coming.
Yeah.
And all this other stuff that followed it. But I'll tell you another one that's pretty cool. I don't know if did David tell you about the barn at the fair site?
Yeah, a little bit. Hey, we talked a little bit about that. That they're going to partner with. They're going to build the barn. And who is it that we're partnering with?
I think is it TDOT or
so that they can have a delivery place if we ever have another pandemic, a place that's set up where people can drive through and be get shots or be looked at. And then they said they'd build the barn for us and let us use it when they didn't need it. That $500,000 barn.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yes. And that barn needs to be. Bless its heart, it serves its purpose, but it probably needs.
That's 100 years old, isn't it?
It's been there longer than Howard Farmer at the fair. Howard listening, he liked that comment. But but it's good money. It's just hard to. And I kind of use an analogy. It's like somebody come to you, Ron, and say, "Hey, I'm going to give you $500,000 and give you a house."
Yeah.
But you have to wait 3 years. Well, I'd wait 3 years.
Yeah. I get it.
Somebody, well, I'm not waiting 3 years. I don't, have it now. Well, you can, but you're going to have the debt. And
well, in the long run, at the end of the day, we all get anxious for the pool. We get anxious for the things that we want. But in the long run, not having it be a burden on the taxpayers or our tax roll will outweigh us having to wait on it in the long run.
Something very exciting. We talked about this, and this has been the goal of the council is we're about 18 months from being debt free.
Yeah, David was talking a little bit about that too. Yeah, it is cool.
That's pretty cool. We know when the Larry Gann and Jim McBride and myself first came on, and we had to refinance our debt. Is that $13.5 million?
Refinanced our debt. We even considered. I remember I was in the meeting when Bone Stevers came down, and there was even the scuttlebutt and talk about we were going to have to be in a position to not only borrow money but possibly even raise taxes, which we ended up not doing. We borrowed enough money. 5 cents during that time. Was that early on? Was that that very first one?
Yeah.
Because I remember you guys all, the whole group, went through and figured out how much you would or wouldn't have to do, and borrow.
Yeah. But I'm really proud of that.
I mean,
how many cities can say that is very, 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 very small number. Plus, look at, I think anybody, if you're for or against, how much improvements that's happened in that since Roger and the council's been there. It's been pretty impressive. I mean, it's not like we cut back. I mean, we thought we can't give you raises, or we can't do this, or we can't go over this grant money. We've done it, and at the same time, we've been, I think, good steward to the taxpayer.
How much since the internet tax and a lot of this? How much has our tax base increased? Do you know right off the top of your head? I know it's increased. I just don't know how much.
It has. I can tell you in this way, and maybe because I don't know the exact dollar amount, but when I first came on, which has been about 15 years ago, which is
2009, wasn't it?
When I say that. I was 2007 city council for 2 years. Our budget was around $12 million.
Yeah.
And now our budget's about 15,500,000, somewhere around there, ballpark.
And we're still paying for it. So we've at least increased $3.5 million in revenue.
Yeah.
So.
Well, in that 15-year period, too, Roger and me and Roger talk all the time. We were like, I want to say two schoolgirls, but I don't. You know what I mean? I didn't mean it.
Yeah, I get it. No,
we'll get calls. I didn't mean it from a sexist standpoint. But if anybody has girls, they understand. Now they text, they don't talk.
I got it.
But since Roger's been there, just merit pay, we've increased something like 42% across the board.
That's real good.
And that's not considering people on step raises or just people getting more money because we want to keep them. They're doing a good job. That money on the side, which we do that some too. So, doing pretty well.
That's good.
Doing pretty well.
Let's go back to the restaurant before we get out of downtown.
Okay.
Restaurants, possible new business. I think too, these improvements that you're going to make, it will attract a different clientele of business to complement, the antiques that we have. But one thing folks talk about a lot is set down food. And where are we doing something like that you can talk about? If you can.
Well, let me go out to the interstate real quick.
Okay.
Something just broke my heart. I was really the information we received when the tourism building was being sold.
Gotcha.
That was going to be in Aubrey's.
Yeah.
And it broke my heart. I drove
car
by.
wash.
It's going to be like a 5-minute lube.
Yeah, lube.
Yeah. Like, no, no, because really we kind of run. We can't control how people invest. And I know the developer. He's a really, really good guy. In fact, he's down at the lake, and I've met him that way through Bob and Cindy.
Gotcha.
But great guy. But it's like I told him, man, you broke my heart. He said, well, I got to go with people that want to spend the most. And I said, I understand.
People who wanted it.
But if you look around, there's not a ton of sit-down restaurants like they used to 20 years ago. I think our habits now is get it and go, and plug for, I guess, Joe. But just hurry up and But everything we've done, and look at Universal Pizza. Have you been in there yet?
No, I have not.
Got to go. But
that's part of Aubrey's, isn't it?
It is. It used to be there used to be those Stefanos.
Gotcha.
They're changing the brand. Now, my understanding is they're changing all Stefanos to Universal, and it's a different type of pizza. Stefanos used to be, claims that Chicago style, a little bit thicker. But my understanding, they're going to switch everything to Universal. I may be wrong on that.
That's right.
But
they're open up there in that strip center, right?
Yeah, and it's packed, and they didn't have a sign until 2 days ago. So
people already knew about
people
it.
We love to eat.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a very strong supporter of eating, as you can tell. But I don't know. But there's. What I'm excited about downtown, there's an investor that came in that he and his wife bought like 8 buildings. Mm-hmm. And they have a vision of what they want to do.
Yeah.
It's not, they're from here. They love this town, and they want to do their best to make something happen down there. Now, what I see, if I can look at my crystal ball, it's a little dusty, so I don't know. So don't write anything down. But I don't know. But from what I've seen in other cities, everybody has a downtown.
Sure.
Historic downtown. We're not unique in that.
Sure.
But what I've seen is if you get a brewery, for example, to come in that has food, I've never just seen one.
you'll start
usually
to
see 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And they offer food. And I think that's good because people want choices. They don't want to go down and eat the same place every time. They want to go down and say, let's may have a cocktail there, and let's just go eat here, or let's go over here this time. And so I think one which is in the works. We're still probably a year or so away from really getting going on that. Not we, and I'm not buying anything. We as as far as a resident, I guess.
Sure.
But I think that's going to bring some food down there, and it's going to encourage other people. Jason Hammock and his wife are going to do the old laundry. Perkadilly. It's going to be called Hammocks.
Cool. Hammocks, Cakes, and Catering. It used to be before it was Perkadilly.
And it's going to be from I think initially it's going to be like 9 to 2 or so. I think they're going to do breakfast and lunch, and they're going to do dinner. Mm-hmm. But hopefully there'll be a place downtown to have dinner.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to preach, and I hope you preach it too. Man, when we get these businesses down here, let's support them.
Support them.
Because I try to stay off Facebook more than I used to. But people complain, then something comes in. Well, it's too expensive. I can't make. Well, that's just the price of going out to eat now.
I agree with you. As these businesses come in, I mean, I've preached it my whole life because it's how I make my living off our local businesses. Yeah. But I do business. I've said it before. Amazon's not supported one little league team around here that I know of, but we have for 35 years. Yeah. And the same thing with our local businesses. You know.
And we've seen. I'll touch on something else that I heard some conversation about, and as a city too, we have to. I think it's our responsibility. We got to look strategic, how this town's going to look in 20 or 30 years down the road, and what our needs are going to be from the city standpoint. So with all this stuff that we know as far as the Darty building, and the residents coming in, living there, the anticipation of one or more restaurants / breweries, some type of mixture like that coming downtown, we're going to need more parking. And there was a piece of property where the chamber was going to move in.
You got a great deal on that, didn't we?
Well, Joey Smith's my good friend, and he's on the chamber side. So, I asked Roger, so let me talk to Joey. Let's negotiate a little bit. And we went back and forth. But I think their position on that was they really wanted the city to have it because they thought it would be in good hands and to be used to benefit that downtown area.
Sure.
Which I certainly agree with that. But we made that purchase. Initially, we cleared it. We're going to make a parking lot out of it right now, just in anticipation, and
we can use parking
for that downtown area. If all the things that we think is going to happen, now, if that doesn't happen that way, number one, we could go turn around and sell it, or we might do something with City Hall sometime. We may have to move fire, police, or public works.
Police need some room down
there. Yeah, I mean, we're busting out of the seams again. But you think 40 years ago, everything down on City Hall, it was of course the city offices, it was police, fire, public works, and CUB.
Wow.
Were in City Hall. So you got to think. Well, let me back up. I think you got to think from a leadership standpoint. What's our needs going to be in 30 years? Because there's not a lot of land down there. And that was our decision to make that purchase. And I think it was a very, very wise.
I think it's a
very wise decision.
If you've ever tried to find a parking place during the Antique Festival, you will be greatly appreciative of those.
But you know what would be really nice? Monday through Friday, you're looking for a parking space.
Oh, you had to go to the courthouse or whatever else you need.
I mean, that'd be great. I mean, that's ideal. I mean, and when I say this, people think, well, he's just being smart, and I wasn't. But I think it's going to be a good problem. Let's have a parking problem.
Yeah.
I mean, because we've never had that in my lifetime.
Other than the fair down when you're very sporadic.
The two antique festivals and maybe the Christmas parade and things like that.
Very rarely.
But I like maybe on Fridays that people are coming in and
looking for a place to park.
Yeah.
No, that'd be great. I can recall, didn't we used to do Fridays? Didn't the chamber do Fridays downtown for a little while and had some music?
Yeah, close the street.
Get some of that stuff going again once you get this parking and get some diverse businesses down there. It'd be fantastic. I love the downtown area.
I do too.
You know what I mean? And it's from where it was when we first got here in 1990 to where it is today. It's night and day.
And God bless the people, the merchants that are there, the antiquers that came in and just really brought it back to life.
Yeah. I looked very seriously at getting a building down there. In fact, we made an offer on one. I made an offer on it. It needed a roof. I was going to have to put $60,000 into the roof, and a lot of others.
But it wasn't 10 years ago. You could buy a building there for $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're going for three to $400,000.
Yeah,
which is a good thing too. I mean,
well, yeah, the values are up.
Yeah, because that's going to force people to. They can't rent it out for $500 or $1,000. You're going to have to bring something to justify the cost of the building.
Yep. So, I mean, so far so good. Everything is working positive right now.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of growth at the interstate, and I think that's going to come with or without recruiting. But do we have any recruiting mechanism outside of the chamber right now in the city? We don't, do we?
Really don't. And I know you dabbled in it too,
Mm-hmm.
and I did too, and we both realized that a lot of this stuff, especially with technology and internet and things like that, developers can look at a demographic that they're focused on, or the person that wants to come in and invest, what they're focused on. It could be rooftops, it could be demographic as far as average income, level of education, miles to Knoxville, or it could be anything, and they see that. And most of the time, they let come to the city and inquire because they kind of have to go to the city at some point anyway, just building stuff, or they'll go to the chamber.
Yeah.
And I think the chamber serves a very important purpose there. But we're running out of space. We got the others. We have the other side. We have the Fox property that still needs to be developed.
You looking at annexing?
You can't. Well, your old buddy over there at John Alvis kind of. He put that. They stopped that at the state level, which I don't know, because we always have growth. We used to have a growth plan.
We had a growth
5
plan.
year, and we still have those. But I'm saying, why do we still have those? Because it's not the same rules. Because people are going to have to raise their hand and say, I want to be annexed. You just can't come and say, I want to annex you.
Sure.
Because that's what Norris did, and that's what caused the lawsuits and went all the way to the state. So, so I don't know. I don't think, unless somebody just says, hey, we want to be annexed. But I don't really. I can kind of foresee annexation.
Well,
going down from here to the interstate, going out.
That's what I was getting ready to say. We only have one parcel on each side of the road, right?
For the most part, it depends. When you get down to retail, it gets a lot bigger, which that's what business owners, developers want, because they want the services, fire protection, police, and all that stuff. Sure. So we're paying for it. But yeah, and I'd love for on one side of I don't know. I mean, I think our forefathers have done a great job and set us up for success with the industry and things they've done in the infrastructure. But I think one thing they kind of failed on, and probably would have done it looking back, is water and sewer from the post office towards Ray Varner's is non-existent on that side of the street. On the post office. There's just no services. So and right now, if someone wanted to invest, then they're going to have to pay
to run it
the
across.
Services under the road there. And that's probably $400,000 or $500,000. So it's just it's cost prohibitive for anybody to do that. So
how do we overcome that?
Well, I've talked to Greg, and I know the board's talked to Greg. I mean, my idea would be to surely there's some grants out there
to run the water,
or maybe shared cost and things like that. And I'm sure I love Greg to death, but I'm sure, Greg came up, he'd explain to you exactly why. It'd make you feel good about it.
Yeah.
But
tell you why you can't do it, but make you okay.
Yeah. But I hope we get to that point where, we can offer, those services without being, unrealistic as far as cost.
As far as industry goes, we offer some of the most or some of the best services electricity-wise for industry anywhere in the TVA. So we should have enough technology that if we need to run something for businesses or get it done, we can. If we're doing this much for industry as big as SNL and Ison and all this that we keep.
Yeah, CUBs. I mean, we're blessed to have them. Great leadership, and I think we've always have had that. But Greg certainly has done a great job.
He has. He certainly has. That's good.
So. Let's talk about pickleball.
Okay, let's talk about it because we're running out of. We built them and now we need more.
It's funny. I went by and saw David Queener. Mm-hmm. Of course, we were both on the fair board and stuff, and went by and got some tickets. David gets a little animated sometimes. He says, "Hey, we need to talk about something. Something going on." I was like, "Well, my God, I've been here I've been in town. I haven't heard anything." I said, "Well, what's going on?" He said, "We need some more pickleball courts."
Yeah, absolutely.
And I said, I know. We've been talking to Roger about it, and I agree. The challenges we have, I'd like to add on to Lakefront and even add up one or two there at JC Park. But the challenge is the contract we have with the Anderson County Schools to use the tennis courts for their the sport,
Sure.
high school sport. So that kind of puts a hamper on that. But Roger and I were talking the other day, and he said, I didn't think about this one spot. I think we could do it. It wouldn't cost much to put in there.
You could do it over at the dog park. You've got a little bit of room over there.
Dog park, there's a little bit of space. What he was talking about the other day at the Inclusive Park.
Over in South Clinton?
Back there in the back.
Okay.
One thing we need to really be, only the negative I've ever heard on, like you read and stuff, is the noise the ball makes. And I don't know, I think we have to be considerate of if that's the truth and how close does it not need to be to homes.
That might be an issue in South Clinton.
It may be, but you can always plant some trees and stuff
yeah,
too.
to deaden it.
But
that's cool.
Dave and I were talking about when we go by and there's 4 courts there at Lakefront and you can pay 4 per court doubles. And they're those
full and waiting.
And they're full and waiting. And there's some just playing on the tennis court.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nobody playing tennis. So if people listen, we hear you, and we're working on it. I read the paper a little bit before I came in. There's going to be 20 teams at pickleball tournament. I think Bryce Kidwell and
wow,
and maybe Josh even got together. But we need to do that, and I've really kind of been pushing. Well,
I think
Roger.
it's fun. You know what I mean?
I mean, one thing I hear from people in their 20s, the parents of people in their 20s, just nothing they can do.
I was getting ready to add skate park, and I hear that so much, and I've heard that so long.
I haven't heard that in a while.
I do, just because my Jacob is big into it. That's all.
But and I've been really kind of pushing Roger, and I think he's open to the idea too. Is have a winter league and do it in the community center. Because it's not easy. Because you can paint stripes and do temporary nets and stuff. People would love that, and have somebody there. I'm not mentioning any names. Taylor Huddleston to go up there and manage it.
Yeah.
And get involved because it would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I mean, I think people that are in recreation want
recreation.
Yeah, want recreation.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, just the more fun things you have to offer.
Yeah, I agree. But it's coming. Stay tuned.
That's good.
And have you ever tried it? I've played it.
I've never played pickleball.
I have bad knees, but we can get around.
It's for folks that your knees aren't as good. You don't have to move quite as much as you do in tennis, is what I'm told.
My body had to tell my brain a couple of times, easy, big boy.
You still think you're young.
Don't die for that. You'll pay the price.
Let them have that point.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the last time I've dove for anything except maybe into the water. That's about it. So, all in all, we're going to be debt-free here in 18 months. Probably within that same time, we're going to have a new uniform downtown, and some new stuff coming in there. And some new stuff up the interstate. Well, how about our infrastructure? I was down, it's been a couple of years ago, talking to Roger, and he was showing me on a map where he had already been talking to TDOT, just looking at what we suspect is going to be traffic problems, especially now you're adding all these things. How are we doing with that, with infrastructure, additional red lights, and how are we handling all that?
Yeah. Well, red lights, only one I know, we got a request in for a red light there at Waggles.
I know they were looking at Mariner Point again, weren't they?
I was going to make mention of Mariner's Point, and what I was saying, because I go to the senior center, son, we play a little bingo and stuff, but we're in the process now. The process it's not a 6-month process; it's a 2 or 3 year process. But one thing we feel comfortable with, we being the city, Roger, is that when the senior center came in, that kind of checked the final box to help us get that.
Yes.
So I tell you, you got kids driving, I got kids driving. It's a little scary pulling out at certain times of the day. There's people going 60, 70 miles per hour.
Oh, if you're there during plant traffic, when they're getting out, you know what I mean? Just that time of the day. Yeah, it's difficult, especially if you're turning left going toward Oak Ridge out of the subdivision.
Yeah, you got to get out, get in that turn lane, and it's like those old games like Frogger,
jumping in and out of the cars.
Yeah, but but that's we're actually working on that. Of course, we installed, the city of Clinton installed the two down towards the interstate to help city and county residents down there. But we did get a request last week about a red light around that Waggles area too, which is on the other side. On the other side, yeah. And we just submitted because anytime that happens, we got to submit it to TDOT because that's their road.
Yes.
And they'll do this. They'll do the studies and see if it meets enough criteria for that to happen.
The other night I was coming home from Mom and Dad's, and our high intensity lighting wasn't on the interstate, on the exit. Is there a particular none of the exit lights were on, and just sporadic lights on the bridge and up like toward the Get and Go were on. I didn't know if we were trying to save electricity.
You're talking about the bridge there
over the interstate going to Fox Toyota.
I don't know. Is it just a one-time deal?
I don't. Yeah, I just noticed it. I was just coming home, and as I was approaching the exit, I thought, man, it looks dark. And probably about only 30% of the lights were on, and none of them, when you get off the 122, all of the ones all the way up the 122 were off.
That's Roger, if he knows.
I thought we might. I was just going to check and see if you paid Greg. Maybe paid CUB.
Maybe Greg turned off the light when you left. He turned off the light. I don't know, but one thing is, it's going to be kind of cool. I think it's going to brighten our downtown up a little bit on 25 and 61, those major interchanges, is CUB slowly changed over to LED lighting.
Yeah.
And we had talked with CUB about, because we can do it in phases, but one phase I asked is do South Clinton first.
Yes.
From the bridge to the city limits, and change that to LED. And make it a little bit brighter, not too bright, but it looks new. It's kind of like
it looks new and clean.
Yeah, and with Aspire opening up in a couple months, it'd be nice for that. But for my South Clinton friends, when they say, "Well, we're never first, we don't get this or that," well, you're going to get the LED lights.
You get them first
on that. So
I was just getting ready to take you over to South Clinton because Joe's got a $25 million, probably more than that now, with all the other investment over there. That's simply a gift. It could be an international draw. I've heard from people with Red Bull. They're looking at doing. I think they're already planning to have an event there, a mountain bike event. Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of people. Where are they going to park? I'd heard maybe because Joe bought the building there in the Kmart shopping center that he might have access to that. But you're going to run into some of those issues on that side of the river for parking and stuff.
You've been on site at it, yeah.
Yeah, I've been there.
One thing that really took me back, I've been on there over there a couple of times. One for an event for the chamber.
Yes.
But I tell people when you're on the road and you look over, it doesn't do justice at all until you get that
down
building,
in it.
Whatever you call that building when you first come in, and that's where we had the event.
Yeah.
And you're looking up, it's like, man, this is huge.
Yeah,
it's a big place. And you got a ton of parking spaces down there, and you got that on the front between the railroad tracks and the park. You got a ton of parking there.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's a plan, but I do think with Joe's probably going to have the opportunity to use some of that Ingalls Center because God knows they don't
use it now. Any kind of information, pushback, any kind of, I know that Mr. Ingalls' son had taken over, and that's kind of when everything ground to a halt a long time ago when Bob passed away. But we hearing anything about that?
Not much, to be honest with you. What's frustrating is I think there's people that want to buy it and maybe put another grocery store. We kind of pitched the idea to them. It's been a couple years ago because their concern is, I don't think I'm saying anything confidential, but their concern is they kind of one box fits all. So every store that they build is pretty much the same. Mm-hmm. There's no smaller one based on the town size, and their concern was the store that we build, they don't think that this area would support it as far as based on the size of the store. So we even talked about doing, because they own all that land, and there's a resident here that owns some of that land too, is why don't you look at building condos or apartments in the perimeter of that shopping center?
Do something with it.
And then you have built-in loyalty and
built-in shoppers. Yeah.
And seemed like they kind of perked up when we talked about that. And we have things that we could support them with as far as tips and maybe even a pilot. The pilot launch didn't work out too good the first time, but we have things that would kind of help them make that decision. But one thing about Ingalls, they're frustrating to me to talk to, because I love if somebody comes in and wants to be a partner with the city.
Absolutely.
And give back. And I think it's a good, and I'll give you a perfect example, Food City.
Absolutely.
SL America is fantastic.
Yep.
Sam, I tell you, I feel like
we're gonna miss Sam.
I walked in. I'm really good friends with him. I was joking one time. I said, sometimes I gotta go to Ingalls.
He's gonna hang out with Sam.
And when I got because they don't have it or they're out of it. So I got to be honest with you, I feel like I'm cheating on you. I can hardly make eye contact when I come back in,
Feel bad.
That's the truth.
Had to go to Ingalls,
but when
Sam.
he left, man, I kind of had to shake myself and say, man, he didn't die.
Yeah.
He's here, but he's
going on to the Senior Olympics.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was a little bit older than us,
because he's in such better shape than me or you. That's why.
Yeah. But I like those community partners. But
when Ingalls first started, they had that mindset. They came to town.
Well, I think the dad had a lot to do with it. And apparently there's a rift between the kids.
Yes.
Can't agree on anything. You realize about Ingalls, they're kind of like McDonald's. They're in the real estate business.
Yeah.
They're not in the grocery business. And that's the frustrating thing. And I probably wouldn't. I told you what I'd probably tell them if they asked me, and I'm being nice because I want to partner with them. I want them to grow here, but they say, well, let's build the bridge. Let's see how that does. Well, it was fantastic. It's opened that up even more.
Well,
now they're probably saying, let's wait till Aspire and let's see how Aspire's going to be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you this, and I know this for a fact because I saw it, looked at it, and then I spent an entire evening with their attorneys. Not only did they have plans to build that facility there, and they were going to have to move things around on their, and they were going to put the gas pumps in and out, all of that, right? Not only that, they had plans to also build another one at the interstate. This is at the time. This is in 2008, 2007.
Probably they're going to go like the around where Buddy's is.
That's what they were looking at. We took them up.
Walmart was going to go earlier than that.
Walmart was there, but they said they had studies. They had done studies that anytime they built within such proximity to Walmart, their stores did really good. Mm-hmm. So they weren't just upgrading. They were taking off and going, and man, it ground to a halt fast when Mr. Ingle passed away.
Yeah, I never met him, but talking to you and Wimp met him and the staff. He's apparently he was a really good, not just a good business person. He was a good man.
Yeah, you see that with you saw that with Sam Walton, and his kids come in and changed his entire perspective. Some people like it better, they don't, and I'm sure that's kind of what's going on now. His children have a different idea than he did, but no, he was. On the hood of the car, we rolled out the plans, and they had already spent thousands of dollars making the plans.
Only thing I know, I go to North Carolina quite a bit, following my daughter playing basketball, and I've never seen an Ingalls over there that looks like ours.
No. Oh, you can just drive to Powell and see what the real Ingalls, what they look like now.
Yeah.
I would be happy if they just cleaned theirs, not cleaned it up, moderned it up. It's clean and everything else.
I hear from people all the time, and not as much now, but I did a few years ago. So we try to call and try to rent space out, and they never return a call. Or
I've heard that over and then when the building got a little bit dilapidated, instead of fixing it, they just tore it down.
They're probably waiting till the old Walmart building, and they're going to tear that down.
Well, I remember when all of this negotiation was first starting, when they were first talking about it, they needed that property where the Kmart building sat to build the full-size Ingalls that they wanted to build. So they said it's going to take about, at that time, a couple of years before the lease was out, but then they were going to increase the renewal.
Yeah, I think they were going to put the Ingalls where the Kmart is.
Yes.
And move it up closer to.
Yeah, scooch it up to the road.
25W, and put the pumps in.
And,
and have like 2 or 3 bays. Nothing crazy about it.
No,
2 or 3 bays to rent out.
Be very similar to what you see at Food City, I think.
Same footprint.
And see, what happened too is if you remember, they both were talking about doing that right then. And then Food City went ahead, got the Chevrolet dealership, and Food City started. They did more than talk. Yeah. And I think Ingalls saw that happen, decided to kind of wait and see what Food City was, and now we've been waiting for 20 years.
You can go into a pharmacy let's say a person that's looking to, somebody from Walgreens thinking about opening up another store, they can go to a pharmacy and just look and kind of project what they do based on how many prescriptions they're filling and how much business they're doing. And you'd think they do the same thing going over to Food City, because it's phenomenal. And just they can probably just look at the registers, and there's a formula they can use to say, well, they're doing this much a month or year or whatever. But not only what they're making, but what their spillover is. What's the people that don't go there because they don't like going there because it's too busy. So
it's always busy.
That's why, I mean, I don't have a lot of experience in that, but I know competitors do that.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't Ingles ever do that? Because, I mean, there's got to be, we've shown, and you've looked at data years ago, how much spillover.
Oh, it's
I mean, and I say spillover for people listening it's a spillover is people aren't shopping there or not shopping in your area, i.e. the city. They're buying their groceries, Ridge or Knoxville or outside the city, which is costing us a lot of tax revenue.
Well, you know what? I order my groceries. I grocery shopped one time.
So you do Walmart?
Yeah. After my divorce, I took the boys and went grocery shopping one time, and I said I will never do this
again. Mistake is using the boys.
Yeah. I'm not kidding, Scott. I had this shirt on actually. I was sweating so bad afterwards. And it was during COVID, and you had to walk a certain direction. It was like the very first beginning of it. I was sweating. It was hot in there. I said, I'm going to do this, get to the house, and I'll never do it again. So I just started ordering my groceries from Walmart. Well, I noticed they were bringing them from Oak Ridge, and I said, no.
Yeah.
Bring them from Clinton. And the little delivery guy said, what difference does it make? I said, it makes a difference because I live in Clinton and the tax dollars stay here. It's the same distance, you know what I mean? So I have to change it because they like to do it. The closest one to me is the Oak Ridge one. So I have to change it to get them to bring them from Clinton so that we get the tax revenue.
That's right. But, I agree.
But it's so much easier. I know a lot of people don't like I get it on my phone. I know exactly what I need. I just hit it and go, and it's here, and there you go.
Well, back to Aspire, okay. I feel very strongly, and I've been wrong once or twice, but I mean I think it's going to change the landscape of South Clinton. I think some of the buildings that are empty, I think people are going to come into WYSH, have their own businesses that complement Aspire. And people are going to probably laugh when I say this. I mean, I could really see a hotel at some point.
Oh, I think
in South Clinton.
I really wish. In fact, I was talking to Joe and I was talking to Bob Gillum here a while back. The property down there. I wish I'd have bought a little bit when I could have. I don't think I can now. Yeah. But I wish I'd have bought a little bit because
even that little strip center next where Apple Drug is right there.
Is that Mr. Martin?
I believe. Now he doesn't own is he on the Apple? But Apple's separate from the rest of the strip center. I know.
Well.
But somebody's going to go in there. Again, it could be another restaurant. It could be a bike shop. It could be something that, again, I think it's going to be complementary to the park.
Let me ask you this. This idea that Joe wanted to do, this park, has been around for a while. And I know he wanted to build it and then give it to the city to maintain. And you didn't think that was a good idea at the time, I don't think.
Well, I don't believe – I think Aspire was a thing. It was something that grew over time in his mind. Initially, what I remember, he was going to do the baseball field and football field there. Mm-hmm. And he wanted, and just that, and we had a lot of concern at that time about the ash when you're kicking up the dirt and things like that. And it even saying that we really had those type of fields that we didn't want to take on.
Didn't want more fields.
Yeah, we really couldn't justify it based on the need.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think he kind of changed it. Then it kind of grew into what it is today.
Is there something that the city would look at partnering on a maintenance? Or I mean, I know Joe has made arrangements now through a foundation and all of this that's supposedly supposed to live on in perpetuity where it'll finance itself. But
luckily, Ron, you're not be dead and gone by all that time. That's going to be somebody else's decision to make.
Probably.
It's a beautiful property. Joe's done a fantastic job with it, as you would expect him to do.
Yeah.
Like him or not, with Joe, if he's going to do something, he's going to do it right, and he has a history of doing that.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be big, but I don't know. I think when we had it, I mean, we were still we still had some financial issues too.
Oh yeah, that was all back in 2008 and 9 and all. I remember.
But I think even Joe would tell you we've helped Joe when we could, just
Sure.
like we would anybody else.
Absolutely.
And that it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be really nice.
No, it's already nice, and you're right. I was so impressed because you look at it and it looks cool, but then when you get down in it, it's like, wow, it's completely different.
I parked on the parking spots between the road and the park, those parking, and it has cobblestone walkway up to, and as I said, like, let's walk there, and I was thinking, I don't want to walk all the way up there. Don't realize from the road it looks like 50 yards, but you get down on it, it's massive. It's massive. And I hope, I've heard now it's going to be early fall. They're going to start. I think you're going to do soft openings and get the staff.
I'm interested. I want to see what the restaurant's going to be like.
Yeah. It's going to be. I say it's going to be good.
That's what I hear.
It's going to be good.
I have to borrow some money from Joe to eat there.
Well, hopefully, I would say he's going to have I would think, like most restaurants, they're going to have a very broad range as far from a price point.
I hope so.
Because they'll have to.
Sure.
Because kids coming in and parents, and I mean, I don't think
you can't host
where you just do it for special occasions. You want to come and say, hey, let's go, let's go out, let's go Calhoun's, let's go to the Pearl, and have something. It's really good, and it's affordable, and I think he's aware of that. I would think he would be.
Sure, absolutely. So, it's exciting. It's exciting stuff, and I mean, there's a whole. I mean, you realize we've been talking for an hour and 20 minutes, roughly.
It's funny.
It's all good.
I would say 15 minutes we've talked.
It's been an hour.
People have already turned us off an hour ago.
No. I think folks like to know what's going on in the community too, and I also believe people like talking about positive stuff more than they talk about negative stuff. And everything we've got going right now is good.
It really is, and it's just something that we've been waiting on, and now it's happening, which is exciting to see too. So,
what other projects do we have? I know I go up by the interstate, not just the businesses, but the housing all back through there now. So that parcel, that housing, that's not in the city, right?
Which housing are you speaking
right
of?
behind the Walgreens or whatever it is. Is it CVS or Walgreens up there on the corner?
Yeah, so that's
that parcel in the city?
That's ours.
Okay.
All that back to that apartment.
How many residents are back there? I didn't realize how big that was.
I just want to say, I don't know why it sticks in my mind, but I want to say like 50-something homes.
Okay. And then
there.
The project that Joe was working on that they're doing across the street over there is going to be like 100 and some.
I think it's
178.
It's close to 2.
Okay.
180. What's 178 to 200 somewhere around there.
I was back there. I was coming from the bank and the main road was covered up, so I came up the back road and came that way. And I didn't realize how big that was back there. That how much he's already got done.
Yeah. I don't know. I know D.R. Horton's going in there. I don't know if he still has some oversight with that, or if he's turned it over to D.R. Horton, or what. I don't know.
Well, I know. I talked to Joe. It's been months ago, and they were getting ready to close. Or Mr. Horton's coming in on it with him, but I didn't know. I don't know what they've done. But still, it's going to be. We're going to have
people. Yeah.
And that's not that is not in the city now. That parcel is not.
It is not.
And I know Joe wanted that. Is that something the city will look at?
There were some questions more about the sewer that
the grinders
we were very concerned about long term, because what I remember is that he was counting on the HOA to assume that.
Yes.
So, like, again, I may not be exact on this, but 4 lines would go into one tank.
Yes.
Well, how about
if someone of those 3
had 3 babies and they flushed a diaper down the toilet and they clogged that up, well, who's going to pay for it?
Yeah.
Or as many HOAs have done, like the one that we have, it's not existent anymore.
Sure.
So who's going to take care of that? It's going to come back to the city. Then we're going to have to go back and potentially spend a lot of money to fix what we felt like needed to be done in the first place.
Well,
it's just a different thought process, but I mean, we have to look at it from we have to protect our taxpayers and make sure we're making the best decisions there.
I went through that when I did the thing over in South Clinton. And what we came up with as a tenable something that everybody could agree on, was we did the grinder pump, same thing he wanted to do, but we did it for each parcel of land.
Right.
Each one had to have it. And then we built that into our sales,
Right.
where if you bought that piece of land, you agreed that that's the system you would put into your home, because we CUB signed off on
But
it.
a lot of those a lot of those parcels there that you can see from the road is it would be gravity fed.
Well,
your lot was so flat, you needed to have that pump to get it.
You're talking about a Joe's would be gravity fed?
A lot of them would be.
Yeah, because we couldn't get it deep enough because of the water.
Right.
So we had to do it differently.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, I when we talked about this before, and when I looked at what the plans were, I thought, why not just put in a separate unit for each of the townhomes, each townhome, so they'd each have their own. It'd be a little more expensive on the start.
Yeah, I don't know. I just that was just what we were presented with on that. Wouldn't you love to have a couple more parcels over there on Melton Hill Drive?
Stop it! I'm telling you, when I saw houses selling for $800,000,
well, yeah,
700 and 800,
yeah.
And I can remember saying that, and people going, nobody wants to build over here, Ron. I said, eventually, I promise.
I was one
of
them.
I know. I remember.
Because of but
the
they
sewer
made so much improvements on the sewer too, because
and the road. You guys did great with the road. The road, fixing the rest of that road did a whole lot for it too. And by fixing the road and then allowing some of the people to use their parcels because it was a city road, where they could build up there. And split the parcels up. You remember there was some issues on that. But I think just the things that we've done with that have made it, well, you can see it's taken off. It's growing. They're buying and selling.
You're talking about roads, too. We haven't talked about this in a while, but Roger was talking with TDOT about pretty much where Ray Varner to the interstate and going from 4-lane to 6-lane on that.
Good.
So that's kind of thinking, but usually the state roads, that's more state driven.
Sure.
As far as planning and widening and all that stuff.
But we can push and ask, right? Again, we're going to need that,
especially with the school there. It's nuts for about an hour or two. It's really bad.
Yeah, if I'm going to the bank, many times I'll have to go back behind, the old road back there to get back and forth.
Yeah, Singing Springs back in there.
Yeah.
But a lot of people say, man, Clinton's growing. It is to a degree, but I kind of push back a little bit. I think it's a lot. The county's growing, and a lot of these people are just passing through Clinton to get to their destination, like Andersonville and to the lake and things like that. That's where a lot of the growth is.
Yeah.
But we'll have our share here in a short period of time. When you add, a few hundred cars added, it's going to.
Well, how many units we're going to have just downtown now?
It'd be like 39. But with those buildings being bought and remodeled, there'll be some additional housing in those
upstairs
units too.
Yeah. Well, that's the one that I looked at had 2 apartments upstairs.
Yeah.
I think it had a 2-bedroom and a 1-bedroom apartment upstairs that was being rented out at the time. So there's a lot of good stuff. What else is going on that we ain't touched about? I'm trying to keep notes so that I don't forget something, but there's just a lot happening.
Yeah.
You want to weigh in on any of the stuff happening at the high school or anything? I mean, have you got? I don't want to talk about negative stuff, but I might as well ask you. Yeah. You're the mayor.
Well, it's it's a shame for the city because it's Clinton High School. It is a county school, but it's Clinton High School, and I don't think everything's been told yet.
No, it hasn't.
But my desire is, and I've talked to several people, is let's get it out and let's get it done, if nothing else, for the kids.
I agree.
And we got to move on. Because my fear is we're going to start losing the teachers we don't want to lose. And the teachers we're going to be getting in is not, it's not going to be as attractive a place to come from.
We're not going to be as competitive of a place to work.
Yeah. And we need to be aware of that. But we need to address it. And I guess I haven't heard when the report's supposed to come out.
Well, if you were listening yesterday, I got a message. It was yesterday or day before that it's broadened now to an attendance.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about that.
Yeah, to an attendance.
I've heard there's three investigations. It's not 2.
Well, that's maybe, I don't know, but I know that it's expanded to an attendance scandal, and I guess that would be if kids weren't there if they listed them as there in order to get the federal money. That's going to be a mess if that's accurate. But I don't have anything. I don't have anything in concrete on all of that yet. But
yeah,
it's a mess. I noticed too, Anderson County, they just got cited for recruiting violations. Anderson County High School now.
Oh, really?
TSSAA yesterday.
I didn't think TSSAA even looked at recruiting violations anymore. I think it's like gone the NIL way.
They did their. I guess they reported it themselves. Somebody turned it in. They evidently had some kids from other schools up there playing football. And they put the picture up, and that somehow constituted a recruiting violation, trying to get kids to move from their school up to Anderson County to play ball. So they
$50 fine. I guess.
I don't know what they got. Well, they had to cough up, so they had to give up some wins, but they were preseason. So
well, I'm a Clinton Dragon and DFL, and I'm a supporter, and I understand that things need to be addressed, but I just hope that happens quickly and they move on.
I'm right there with you.
But I feel bad for the kids that just graduated and having all that stuff going on, and it just puts a dark cloud.
Well, Trey he said that he was in an interview, and he's already, Trey's, I don't have to worry about him. He made good grades. He makes good decisions. He's a smart kid. But he said the guy was just teasing him and asked if he was one of the bad ones they were trying to get out, or just needed a little nudge to get his scholarship and the grade changing. He said the guy was just joking, and it was fresh, and it just kind of happened. Was just joking, but he asked me, he said, do you think that will hurt me in trying to get stuff? Like, I didn't think. He's competing for a bunch of different scholarships. In fact, he told me yesterday told me the price of everything per semester. I was like, okay.
Crazy.
But then he turned around and said, but look, I've got this. And for his entire year, it's going to cost me about $2,500.
Oh, wow.
All the rest of it, he's got scholarships.
That's fantastic. Where's he looking at going?
Oh, he's at UT. He's already been accepted. He's already been accepted into the Pride of the Southland band. He's marching in the band. In fact, I think they're at band camp this week. I think they've started.
Yeah.
And he's going to be a astrophysicist. So I don't even know what they do. But
we can't even spell that.
I couldn't spell it right now. My life depended on it. But that's what he's done.
Pretty good from old dad from Campbell County.
That's it. You better believe it.
Did pretty good.
I don't know. I checked, make sure the milkman's not real smart. I don't know where he got it.
You can't disown that boy.
No, he looks just like me.
Oh my goodness, with long hair.
Yeah, with long hair.
Definitely.
He left Food City. We were talking about Sam earlier, and I just had so much respect for Sam too, is because when he hired Trey, he made me come in for the interview. He told Trey, he said, I want you to bring your dad. And then he told Trey, he said, the reason that your dad is here is because I'm going to tell you what all I expect of you. And if you agree to do it, your dad's here because I'm going to ask him to make sure, because you don't get to miss work on the holidays. I mean, he went through all the stuff. And
good for him.
He did. And he said, this is what I require of you, Trey. Are you up for it? If you say yes and I hire you, I'm going to ask your dad to enforce it. I just thought that was pretty cool because I got you don't realize. Yeah, I guess we do. Me and you do. We've worked and been there, but kids don't realize what all is going to be expected of them. Yeah. And I think mom and dad need to hear that before the kids get a job. And mom and dad say, well, we had a vacation plan. Well, but so that he went through that, and I appreciated it because as a dad, and
absolutely,
he's like, you're going to have to bring him in this
responsibility and commitment.
Well, yeah, and then on our part too, Trey was 13 when he started working there, and so it's like we had to drive him, and I had to do this. So it's just knowing what you're in for. I thought that was a really good idea, but he left there and went to Home Depot, and they've got him. I mean, he's working at Home Depot. He just turned 18, making $16 an hour, and they're going to move. They said if he'll move over to timber, they're going to pay him $17.50 an hour, and they work around his college, and they have scholarship available for people that work there at Home Depot.
My first job was in '83, and I worked at the watch stores on Eagle Bend.
Yeah.
I had the big maroon tie, flip on and all that. But I remember I was making $3.35 an hour. And I'd be bagging. I I worked 30 minutes. I made $1.70. How am I going to spend that? You get so excited.
I remember $3.35 an hour. I do.
I try to get my daughter to do something. Say, here, I'll pay you $50. Like, I'm not going to do that for that. So, well, good. I'll get somebody else to do it for $20.
Times have changed.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
I appreciate you coming in.
Yep.
What else do we have? I mean, I agree with you. We get all this. The only thing we've got negative going on right now is some of the stuff with the schools, and they'll work all that stuff out. But we've got a lot of growth. And one thing, too, we talked about this early on. Everybody wanted growth, but you want controlled growth. You want to keep the personality of the city. At the same time, you want to get all the modern conveniences. You guys have done a good job doing that.
You know, David gives me a hard time because one thing when I ran for mayor is that I didn't want to change.
I remember. You said the only thing you would change was Archie's hair because he had an afro in the 70s.
Well, he got it long again. It doesn't curl up.
It's just not curling anymore.
It's just beard curls up. But you know, and again, there's limited control. You know, any form of government can have. But I think my argument with him is, or my justification, I'm not going to argue with him, is that I don't think it's changed that much. I don't think the core of our town, I'm talking about the middle of our town, because it's already been built out. Mm-hmm. But I think what's been happening, like the interstate and things are going to be happening in South Clinton, I mean, that's some change going on. But I think it's good change. Well, and it's been, but I think what I call is like we've enhanced what we've had without changing who we are.
Yeah,
and I agree. Like that.
I agree. I mean, you can go down on Riverside Drive, and it's still, you know what I mean?
It's still Riverside. You know, most of the people live there. There's people that come in from California and Washington and all those people. But of course, I'm in real estate, and those are the people that are coming because they love our way of life. They're not coming to change our way of life.
No.
They're looking for a deep red state for the most part. A safe place to live, low tax rate, and just a great quality of life.
When I sold my home down there, when I had 502, 18 years ago, when I sold it, I put it up for sale, and I had 3 offers come super fast, and one was from New York, and the other 2 were from in-state, but one was from the state of New York.
Probably paying cash.
Yeah, it was a cash offer. He ended up not buying it. He made a cash offer. He didn't buy it because of when we did the inspection, some of the plumbing needed to be replaced, and I replaced it, but the next guy bought it. But I just thought that was so ironic for New York, just, and they were retiring. His wife was still there. He was down here looking for a place to retire, and they had identified this area. So,
and we still get. I mean, this is what's. I mean, I have a lot of people ask me, what's going on in real estate? Is slowing down and whatever, and it's still pretty good. And it's not as strong as it was last year. I mean, last year it's crazy. I mean, it's nuts.
Yeah.
And now that I have 2 kids looking for a house, it's really nuts. But it's still good. But the difference is, I say, between our area and maybe parts of the South versus just the housing market in general, is people want to live here. Mm-hmm. The Ohio people came to the lake, they let the secret out of the bag about how nice it is, and people they love it.
Yeah.
And again, people worry about how we got somebody that doesn't think the way we think or conservative and things like that. It's like those people are leaving. Like, for example, this is a pretty strong. Everybody knows it's a pretty strong Republican conservative area, but people from California are moving down. But those are the Reagan Republicans.
Yeah, they're tired of what they're going through. It's not that they want to bring it here.
Yeah, they're escaping.
Yeah,
and they want to be life that they remembered probably when they were a child. Mm-hmm. And again, the benefits that we have in this area. I mean, it's a great quality of life.
Absolutely,
it really is.
That's good. We're definitely growing. Are we still at the 9,000, 10,000 mark as far as
we're probably the last census we were like 10,100 or something. I say we're probably about 10,500 right now. But we're having some duplexes being built up above the city hall. They're off Broad Street and Liner Street, and so we'll have some things coming in. But what's crazy about rent is, I'm talking about real estate now, of course, but duplexes are renting $2,600 a month.
I was amazed.
It's nuts.
I was amazed just looking on my Facebook. Houses were popping up, right? And it would say like $6,200, and I'd be like, and it's rent. It's like $4,000. I was like, who? I mean, they're pretty houses. Some of them are big houses, but I was thinking, who would do that? But I was talking to my friend Tony Capiello here a while back, and he said sometimes, some of the companies that are here, they'll bring people in, hire them, and they'll want to rent for a while to make sure everything is a good fit before they make a big investment. And he had a big house over there that he was renting. I think he was getting like $10,000 or $12,000 a month renting a big old house to somebody that worked for, I want to say, Regal Cinemas or something. I can't remember, but I thought, wow.
I used to get some referrals from Y12, and people would end up turning the job down because they said, this is too expensive. I can't. It doesn't make sense financially to come down because everywhere it's increased, but I think this area's gotten.
Do we have a housing? We have kind of a mid-level housing problem, don't we? Or do we?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, the houses that you and I would have bought in our 20s, that cost, or not even our 20s, probably 20 years ago, would have been $40,000 to $50,000, $60,000. You could buy a little house. Now those houses are $270,000.
I bought my first house when I was 23 in Phoenix, Arizona. 22. And had a pool and 9 palm trees, and I bought it for $56,000. And my interest rate was 16%. That was a lot. And interest was 16%, and that was a good rate back then.
Lord.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, my son graduated last year, and I've got a lot of friends. Trey may be like this at some point. He had to move back home.
Mm-hmm.
He'd been in school and didn't have any money, and you rent an apartment like on Hardin Valley or somewhere, it's $1,500.
I wish I had.
I don't know how kids are going to be able to get an apartment, then be able to save for a house.
You can't,
because all the money's going towards rent.
A couple of years ago, I had a friend that bought some properties there on campus, and he said, "Hey, I'll sell you one of these townhomes." And he said, so Trey can come here and stay and then rent the other bedroom out, pay for it. And for whatever reason, I didn't do it. I'd give anything if I'd have done that because to mortgage it was about a third of what it would be to rent it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny when my son Alex and Barry Hutchinson's job.
That's right. Yeah, we're looking.
We were talking about, and Barry said, that's when downtown Knoxville was really booming. So let's look at getting a condo. I think they're selling for about $100,000. And then it's like, oh, I can't do that. But now there's
$500,000.
Problem. I mean, that's my story.
Well, no, I'm the same way. If I'd have bought that, not only would Trey have had a place, but then the twins are 4 years apart, and they could have been there. And then, so you go through 8-10 years, and you flip it, sell it, done, make money. I don't know.
That's one thing that was a big issue with, you're talking about people can afford that middle class, if you will. And you're going to see a lot of, if like it or not, you're going to see a lot more of what I call affordable housing, like the Daugherty building, where you can make up to $54,000. There's a lot of parameters as far as how many kids and all that stuff. But they still have to pay, it's still be close to $1,000. So it's not like it's
cheap.
Cheap. They got to have that steady. But my point is, you're seeing a lot in Knoxville, and you're going to see more of it in this area because we just got to have it.
What about the houses you're representing there close to the subdivision across the street?
Yeah, it's
at mid-level.
We sold those
before they were built.
What's the low? I mean, to me, from a cost, it's about the lowest it can go. Yeah, we sold 4 out of the 5 before we broke dirt, and they're cute little houses. They're 3-bedroom, 2-bath, about 1,200, a little bit over 1,200 square feet. And sell them for $260.
And sell them all day for that.
My house didn't cost $260. And that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, no, I know. It's
nuts.
It's crazy, and I don't know.
Nuts. But I think the trend is, I think people like the people that lived in there now. The first 2 were retirees. One was local, one was from Michigan, and then the other one that's about to move in. They got a couple kids, but people are looking to downsize, and I think a lot of it's from a cost standpoint. I just think that's just a trend now. They don't want the big house, with a big mortgage and the maintenance and all that.
When the boys all get out of the house, I've got about 4 years, 5 years. I'll be faced with that. Do I downsize or do I stay where I am? Because it's a lot of house.
You can't downsize because they're going to be living with you.
That's probably true.
You think they're going to leave? They're not leaving.
I have to write up a lease agreement.
Yeah.
But no, you know what? You're probably right.
Yeah.
And Trey's he's going to stay on campus his first year. We're working that out. We'll see where we go after that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to say, because I'm sure we're kind of wrapping things up.
We can stay as long as you want.
Yeah. I want to get on payroll if I want to stay much longer.
I was going to say, y'all have to put David on payroll.
Yeah. That, when we talk about what's going on in the city, and sometimes, say it makes it sound like I'm doing this, and that's certainly not the case. It's a team of us. We have a great council, and Councilwoman Manis. David's been a great asset to the council, and a lot of these guys, we've been together for a long time, and Jim's going to roll off this time, and I'm certainly going to miss him and his thought process, but I'm sure he's going to be a phone call away.
Sure.
But
who is running for his empty seat?
I think the only one that's put in so far is Lori Wilson, but I would certainly expect, it being an open seat, there'd be more than one. I kind of hope. I think it'd be good. So. I think it'd be good from a democracy standpoint, the democratic process, that it'd be good to have more than one person. But I want to tell you that the guy that steers the ship and does everything day in, day out, it's Roger Howe.
Absolutely. His
department heads, the chiefs, and all that, and even the employees. I mean, I'm so blessed to be mayor during this time that we're all on the same page. We still have good relationships with our counterparts, with CUB, with the city of Clinton, with Anderson County Schools. The county commission sometimes is a little bit of a challenge, but I think when it comes to push and shove, we'll work together and do what needs to be done. So I'm very pleased with that, and I'm very thankful that again we're doing that, because I always said, in order to get things done, we have to work together. Not to say we always have to agree, but at least we have to have the common goal, and that's to serve our people.
Is there anything outside of what we've talked about that you foresee coming, or that you want to come, or that you want to see built, or is there anything, once we get out of debt, once you get all this stuff in order, I mean, what's next? What do we do from there? Do we work to grow? Do we work to preserve?
Well,
what do you see down the road, I guess, for the city?
I just don't know, with the exception, from a growth standpoint. I mean, in the city limits that we have today, there's not. I mean, you're seeing developers now picking up, buying a lot here, buying a lot there. There's not large tracts of land. Mm-hmm. That could happen, between the post office and the interstate, in Miller Road and things like that. I just don't think there's an appetite at this time for anyone to want to be annexed, unless it's a business.
Gotcha.
And I respect that. People want to live in the county, and by God, I want to live in the county.
Sure.
And I respect that. There's a lot of benefits to that. So I don't.
I'll just tell you, just getting your garbage picked up goes a long way.
Yeah,
I'm telling you. For the little bit you pay, just that cost me more. Probably not have to pay.
There's people that just don't. If they lived here all their lives, and you and I live different places, you have a lot more of a respect as far as the services. I'm just talking as a citizen.
Absolutely.
As far as, there's some people, what they pay in property tax wouldn't cover their trash pickup if they live in the county.
I agree.
I mean, that's how good we are. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I'm not saying it's us. I think it's just, again, I go back to our forefathers, investing in our industry and in an infrastructure that's made life a lot better for us from a cost standpoint, and jobs.
I know when we had a council race, our last council race, and David was in it, some of the biggest problems were speed bumps, and the problems that we had weren't really problems at all.
I probably said it publicly. When we talk about
speed
those
bumps
problems,
and garbage cans,
we talk about that, we're doing pretty dang good.
Yeah,
we really are.
And that's the worst.
And I wish we, I don't like the size of the garbage cans. I wish there was an option for seniors to have a smaller garbage can, because, like my mom, you got to take it out and help people. And there's a service that would help with that if you have a trouble. Mm-hmm. I mean, as far as getting your garbage cans, but a lot of people don't need that large of a.
I need more than one.
I know.
I've got everybody.
You need to start recycling.
I got to do something.
We need more than one.
You know what I've been doing? I burn cardboard. I just got to the point that I just burn the cardboard out in the back.
We have it opened up there behind the community center. We have the recycle center.
I know. It's usually a lot easier just to put it in the yard and burn it.
It's a lot easier to just put it in the can.
Yeah, put it in the can.
Yeah. I want to remind also, fair's coming up Monday, so best 6 days of summer. So it'll be hot, so to bring water and I tell you, we have a great support group from Steve Queener's done it for a long time. I think half the people told Steve when he leaves, we're all leaving. So he might be there till he's in his 80s. But the support financially from businesses and industries, some could do better, but overall we're doing very well to enable kids to come in and enjoy the fair. And Mike Farley, I don't like to quote him too much, but he said one time this is some of these kids, this is their Dollywood, this is their Disney World, and it's true. They just don't do that, and that's for them. That's
big deal.
What it's all about. It's a big deal, and we're able to do that.
It's fun to have 5 days of the 6 free.
Yeah.
For kids.
Yeah.
That's good for parents. We're going to have got a lot of good stuff happening.
Also, I can't believe it, but early voting starts Friday. And
I thought it started the 1st.
I think it's Friday.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? No, the 1st is the Republican.
Yeah, that's the
primary.
That's the date. That's election day.
Wow.
Yeah. So please get out and vote. Now, it's not a big ballot, but it's an important ballot, and let your voice be heard.
When is the council vote? That is on the November or December?
It's going to be November 2nd.
November 2nd.
Or the first Tuesday in November.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not a party race, which I kind of like that. I don't think school board should be party either. It's just we're serving the community.
Yeah.
And I want to do the best for my community. As you know, I'm a Republican, conservative, but I want to listen to all of the people that have a concern and a need. I don't think the city our size needs to divide and parse out. We got enough things to be divided on. We don't need to.
Yeah, city council don't need to run. Yeah, no. Neither does. I agree with you on school board and council. I wish we hadn't done it with commission and some of the other stuff.
You wish they did or didn't?
I wish they did.
Yeah.
I wish they were. I mean, I know why the Republican Party did some of the stuff that they did to be bona fide and all of that, but at the end of the day, I think you've got to be able to vote however you want to vote, when you want to vote, for whoever you want to vote. So
yeah. And I still believe people, they like you, they're going to vote for you.
Absolutely.
And they know who you are and what you're about and what you want to do. They're going to vote for you.
Yep. Good deal. Anything else, pal?
Nope. But I appreciate it. I enjoy talking with you, as always.
I always enjoy having you up here. You going to the lake this weekend? I might see you out there because James David he already texted me. He wants to go, so I'll have to just...
Well, blink of an eye. After July 4th, it goes by pretty fast because you got a lot of commitments when school starts back up. You got football starting. Man,
that's what I said. Football, the first practice was yesterday, I think. First open practice was yesterday. And then, like I said, Trey, it's this week or next week. They're getting ramped up for band camp with Pride of Southland. They do, I think, 5 band camps because they do it a piece at a time.
They have a lot of early morning practices, too, during school, don't they?
Yeah, they do it early before it gets too hot and before classes start. So,
it's a lot of fun. It'd be a great experience.
Can't. For him to be able to, I hope he's, travels and all that with them to go, and hopefully they'll go to,
oh, yeah, they will.
State championship or something, or a bowl game. You'll get to go do some fun stuff.
Yeah.
But, with everything going on, man, time is flying, getting by quick. People are getting busy. So
I always tell my wife, we're going to wake up old someday. So what happened? Because that's true. I mean, like I hear people the other day, I can't believe it's August.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's going to be August again. I mean, when you go back to the fair, it's like, were we just not here?
Yeah,
out here sweating, and
I don't know why time seems to move a lot quicker the older you get.
Yeah, it does. It's like the sense of an hourglass. It gets
quick
a little faster because you were little, it never would go. I mean,
summer was forever.
I know.
Yeah, I can remember. I mean, summer was forever. Yeah. Great. Thanks for coming in.
We actually went outside and played.
Oh, gosh. I lived outside all summer, slept outside, camped out.
Pushed us out.
Yeah. Many times.
Yelled for us when it was time to eat.
That or when the street lights came on, or when the sun went down, it was time to come in.
That's right. Thanks,
Mayor Burton, thank you for coming up. I appreciate it. And thank you for all that you guys do, for the city, and all the good work we've made. I mean, we've definitely, the city of Clinton is definitely doing well, and we are good. We are a very well kept secret that's getting out these days. But
cat's out of the bag, I think.
Yes, sir. All right.
Thank you.
We'll have you back here in a few months.
Okay.
Especially we start opening restaurants and stuff.
That's right.
All right, folks. Thanks so much. Today's Wednesday. Have a great Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to AM 1380 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Make sure you tune in at 10 a.m. each day, Monday through Friday, right here on AM 1380 WYSH and BBB TV 12, or listen live online